Good day, folks, and welcome to another edition of Lumberjack Logic. Forget Vice President. Make this guy Trump's VP because I have never seen anyone surgically dissect the media as well as this guy.
That language, they live like vermin. Do you believe that that is, as your Republican colleague Chris Christie has said, neo-Nazi rhetoric?
What an asinine question. And memo for this chick, no one cares what Chris Christie thinks. Vivek's response is epic.
This is a classic mainstream media move. Pick some individual phrase of Donald Trump, focus on literally that word without actually interrogating the substance of what's at issue.
The word was chosen for a reason.
We are in the middle of a cultural war in this country.
The word was chosen for a reason.
It's actually describing a series of behaviors. You have Antifa and other related groups that have been burning down cities for the last 3 years in this country.
Would you describe them as vermin?
Wildly violating the rule of law. We have an invasion on our southern border. We have millions of people crossing our southern border. Let's talk about the substance of why we have to recognize that we're not in ordinary times.
Would you use that language yourself?
The vocabulary of the vermin or not is not what's important.
This interview has officially gone off the rails for her as she continues to try and bring it back to the word vermin. And now Vivek is going to completely wipe the floor with her.
Well, I haven't used that language. So you can look at my track record on the campaign trail. I talk about the issues. We all talk about them differently. But what I'm not going to do is play some game of focusing on some word that somebody else said without ignoring entirely the substance of what we're actually talking about. A border crisis of historic proportion. Economic stagnation we haven't seen in 50 years, a national identity crisis and a loss of national pride in the next generation that's potentially existential for this country. Let's talk about our dependence on China. Today we're actually talking about Xi Jinping, picking on Donald Trump's word vermin to talk about that status quo. You know what's vermin? What's running around San Francisco on a given day before Gavin Newsom cleaned it up on a dime to roll out the red carpet for Xi Jinping. If he could do that for Xi Jinping, he could have done it on an ordinary day.
About that Gavin Newsom, San Francisco, California, and China situation. Remember when the streets were all tent cities? But now they got it all cleaned up. And it looks like mainland China, not the USA.
And yet we're here sitting talking not about the substance of that, but on one word that Donald Trump said in some speech in Miami. This is what's wrong with the mainstream media. Focus on the substance and let's have an actual policy debate rather than talking to a presidential candidate instead of the policy substance of what's actually going on in the country, picking on some word that Donald Trump said on a certain day and asking me for comment on it. Give me a break.
And see, the reason that these people do not want to have a debate on policy, they don't want to talk about the border, they don't want to talk about the fentanyl problems, they don't want to talk about the mental health crisis, they don't want to talk about crime and how it's not being prosecuted. They don't want to talk about any of this because they can't win on a single substantive issue. In a meritocracy, their ideas fail. So what they have to do is silence voices of opposition through big tech censorship, media blackouts, and deflecting the issue and talk about words like vermin. These people are pathetic. And it's not just Democrats. There's the uniparty Republicans like Nikki Haley who just went full woke on censorship. It's a bunch of World Economic Forum clowns. Thanks so much for listening to another edition of Lumberjack Logic. Remember, subscribe if you're new. And check out my sponsor, MyPillow. That's right, MyPillow.com. Promo code Lumberjack for big savings. Peace out.